What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on the Raiden 2 project, taking care of one last issue I have with it. Overall, I'm really happy with everything except for that marquee. Now, what I have in there is all I could really find as far as a replacement, and I believe it's an original factory. Well, it's not original. It's a factory reproduction of what was standard stock on the cabinet, but I think that we can definitely do just a little bit better. So why don't we head over that way, and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so here it is in all of its glory, and like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a reproduction of exactly what came on the cabinet from the factory from back in the day, back in 1993. It's got some issues. One is the overall print quality isn't that great, but when you have the your little angle pieces here that support the marquee, you kind of have some cropping issues. We're covering up some of the Raiden 2 logo, which isn't the end of the world, but it's something I'm not a big fan of. I just think that they could have moved that up a little bit more. Cebu is also kind of covered up. And then, I don't know, just overall, I don't like the way I feel like it's a little bit zoomed in. And once again, the quality just isn't what I want it to be, especially when you see it illuminated. Let me go ahead and do that for you real quick. Turn this on, you can see. It's okay, but it does look a little bit washed out. And it's not the light bar behind it because it's a nice LED strip. So it's not, the fluorescent tube that's playing tricks on you. I think we can do a little bit better. Let me go ahead and kill that. So let's go ahead and take this thing off, and then I'll head over to the bench, the countertop over here, and I'll show you what I came up with. I had to design something that was different, and while it's not perfect, I think it's an improvement. Okay, so here is the piece that we just took off the cabinet, and what I have up here is what I came up with to replace it. So there are some differences here for sure. We're going to go over some of them. The first thing right off the bat, one of the things I wanted to accomplish was to kind of shrink this image down just a little bit and get it a little more in proportion to the actual marquee, the 8 inches that is the height of the marquees. I think this looks a little bit better. The image is also much more, it's like a high def image, where this is very grainy. It's weird. It's just like, it's almost like a watercolor, where this is it's an HD version, and the colors are just much, they just look so much better, more vibrant on this marquee, but more realistic, I think, on this piece here. The issue I really had, and you can see, this is a complete image. This is one long image. If you look at the background, you see all the mountains. This is one long image. I did not have that. I couldn't find it. The image that I used, you can kind of tell it crops right there. So what I did was I just took the image, reversed it, and then I just blurred the image behind the Raiden logo. It's not 100% perfect, obviously. I would have rather had this image right here, so that I could replicate exactly what I had here, just maybe changing the logo, obviously. But it is what it is. I think it's going to do well for what it's going to look pretty good in the actual cabinet. I think we're about to find out, but it's not that big of a deal. Looking back now, I think I would have probably added FabTech up here, added that logo, and then at least the word Cebu. Maybe I couldn't have gotten all the detail, the 1993 copyright information on there, but at least if I would have added FabTech up there and then Cebu, it would have made it just a little bit more authentic. But obviously, one of the bigger differences, besides the fact that it's not one continuous image, is the fact that Raiden now is squished down and fits much more centered, much more in proportion to the rest of the marquee. And you're going to be able to see this even with those little angle pieces of plastic that support the marquee. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. There are a few things I would change, but it is what it is. Another thing that I had done is, while this is just marquee material and you have to have Lexan added to it to support it, this is from Game On Graphics, and I got this mounted on a piece of clear plexi. There's not a piece on the front, so you're just going to have the graphic and then the Lexan piece itself. But you could add a second if you if you choose, you can select that option, add a second piece of Lexan to cover this to give it that glossy appearance. But the way this sits right now, my custom design mounted on, printed and then mounted on the Plexi, will run you about $65 after shipping. So, you know, kind of an image you really want to get right, because it's going to be expensive to have this redone or reprinted. Now, another thing you're going to be able to tell is right there and there, you have some artifacts from the image that I took this from. Was actually a flyer that was in kind of high definition, so it looked really good, but unfortunately I couldn't crop out the little points here of the Raiden logo that was located down here. Not perfect, but most of that's going to be covered by that black angle molding, so it's something I can live with. I think it's definitely going to be a big improvement, and overall, especially when you step back, you're not going to notice some of that. But enough talking. Let's go ahead and get it in the machine and see if this $65 was actually worth it. Now, another thing to consider is, you know, I've had this printed 8-inch by 26-inch, and the cabinet is, your cabinet may vary. This cabinet is not exactly 8 inches wide, so what I had to do with the edges, the very ends, is just sand that down with some fine grit sandpaper to really get this narrow, because you want to keep this tight because you don't want any light bleed in the corners. So it's going to fit in there nice and snug, which is what you want, right? That's exactly what you want, to be tight in the corner so we don't have any light bleeds. Let's go ahead and get the top piece of trim on, screw it down, and then go ahead and fire this up. Okay, so now for the moment of truth, let's go ahead and fire this thing up. It's I don't know, I'm just initial before I even hit the switch. I'm kind of missing that shiny plexiglass on the front. I could go ahead, add this to it, put this back in there. I'm not sure if the spacing is deep enough to accommodate both of them. Well, it does seem to be. Yeah, I might be able to do that. Let's go ahead and turn the power on anyway and see what it looks like. Here we go. Oh, come on. Wow. Okay, that looks a lot better. Looks a lot better. And now with the light on, you can clearly see the blurry image behind it, but it's not that bad. Raiden is really centered. Man, this thing shines. This is so clean and clear. Nice. Okay, so I think for now, with this cabinet, I'm done, right? Well, I mean, I've said it before, nothing's ever 100% done. I think that if I was going to redo something with this Marquee, I definitely would do the things that I pointed out, add the labels, FatTech and then Cebu. Maybe even, looking at it now, maybe I go back and add a little bit of black in this corner here to sort of hide the fact that I just duplicated the image and made it blurry. It doesn't look bad when it's illuminated, though. It looks fine. I think I might even play around with this piece of Lexan, maybe put it in the front just to see what that looks like. It doesn't really look bad when it's, well, I mean, it looks great when it's illuminated, but when the light's off, it's not like it's a horrible thing, you know? It does look like it's got like a matte finish when it's off, which, like I said, is not terrible. The Lexan would protect it from scratches too, so there's that benefit. Raiden logo is really, I love that. I'm digging that because it's the same image that I used on the bezel artwork, so that matches perfectly.
So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.